Hello everyone, good evening, welcome to the Rangers Reviews Team News Reaction. Myself and Chris Jack looking ahead to Rangers against St Johnstone in the Scottish Premiership. Chris is there in the bustling Ibrox press room and we have the team to talk through. Chris, firstly, how's it going? Busy few days obviously since the cup final, and looking forward to another game tonight. They just keep coming around at the moment, don't they?
They do indeed, Josh. The big games keep on coming. It's another hugely important night for Rangers. If they can get through this one, add another 3 points on the board, we know what that then does in terms of the title race. It's also a huge one in terms of momentum as well. So normally a Wednesday night against St Johnstone is not primed as one of the classics of the season, but considering the situation that Rangers have managed to put themselves in, it carries a huge significance for Philippe Clement and his players tonight.
Yeah, we shall see. Famous last words. Right, let's get to the team, Chris, and then we'll get to the big talking points as well. A few changes and a few surprises for Rangers. They go with Jack Butland in goals, a back four of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, no surprises there, but changes on the left side of the defence with Ridvan Yilmaz and John Suter replacing Liam Balogun and Borna Barisic. John Lundstrom is joined by Kieran Dowell, so we'll come on to talk about him, Chris, because I think this is certainly his first start, and I believe his first minutes under Philippe Clement. So surprised to see him come into the middle of the pitch. Sam Lammers rotates in for Todd Cantwell. Perhaps not too much of a surprise there, given the effort that was put into the game just a couple of days ago, and the fact that Rangers still have a few fixtures before the winter break at the start of January. Ross McCausland continues on the right, and Abdallah Sima on the left, with Kemar Roof coming in place of Cyril Dessers again for his first start under Philippe Clement. Let's start with the big talking points then, Chris. And the one that stands out to me is Kemar Roof, less so because, we've seen his quality, we know of his quality. So with the winner away at Betis last week. Kieran Dowell, not seen much of him at all. I mean, what's your reaction to seeing him in the middle of the park today? Obviously, presumably because Rangers don't have many other options in there. Yes, Dujon Sterling played really well in the cup final, but it's a different type of game today. Do you want him being the one dictating in front of the low block? Probably not. Big chance for Kieran Dowell tonight, who hasn't had that chance under Philippe Clement so far, isn't it?
It's a big night. I think he was the name that stood out. The teams came out 5-10 minutes or so ago. The name of Dowell was one that certainly caught the attention. I think it's his first minute since Dundee, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got the last 5 minutes.
Did he come on at Dundee? Okay.
I think he got the last 5 minutes. So he probably got on the pitch around about midnight that night. that evening waiting. So it's been a long time since we've seen him. He's also not had the start to his Rangers career that he had been hoping for a variety of reasons. But as you say, it's a big chance for him. I think it's in hindsight, and when you actually see the team, it's perhaps not that big a surprise. When I picked my team for this one for the website yesterday, I went with Sterling in there just because he has been very impressive. But you then think game to come at the weekend. First Park is probably more of an afternoon where Sterling is going to be required against a St Johnstone side who are going to sit deep. They're going to try and frustrate Rangers. They're going to try and make it difficult for Rangers to play. Kieran Dowell's skill set is probably going to be more effective than Dujon Sterling's in that regard. So I think it probably makes sense for the manager to give him a game. Interesting to see how sharp he is, how fit he is, because as we say, it has been a long time since he's been seen. So a big night for him, because Rangers have a number of games coming up. They don't have a lot of midfielders, unfortunately. So if he can come in and he can impress, perhaps he then gets himself a game. Probably not at Fir Park at the weekend, but you're then looking at Ross County here next midweek. Probably not one game. You think at Killie here on the second as well. So if he's going to have any future with Rangers in the second half of the season, he has to make the most of this chance.
Yeah, you're right, because obviously Jose Cifuentes yesterday, Philippe Clement said that he hopes he can be back for the international the winter break, but when is that going to be? How likely is it that he's up to speed, for example, to start the Old Firm game? I think you're looking at Dujon Sterling playing that game more likely, because it will be more suited to his skill set, as we saw in the Aberdeen game a few days ago. But again, Clement has to find solutions, doesn't he? And Dowell, you'd imagine that he'll be able to hopefully pass his way through a defence a little bit more than Sterling. We shall see. Ridvan Yilmaz comes back in. It's his first start in a while as well. I can't remember when his last start was. I don't know if he's had one since the last international break. the shirt is Borna Barisic's at the moment, Chris. We've been through this so many times, and every time there's a game where Van Yilmaz starts, I feel like Derek and I have the same conversation. Will he make it his place tonight? And I don't think it's so much that we've seen bright performances. You think back to that game against Livingston as well. I don't think it's so much that he's not shown bright parts to his game. It's more that either it's not been overwhelming enough to suggest he should start, or he's not had the run of games to really build that consistency, because quiet games are going to happen, or maybe at times the size issues come into play. But again, if St Johnstone are pretty deep tonight, which you expect they will be, he maybe gives you a few more options on the ball than Barisic on that left-hand side, because he's going to try and progress through passing and carrying as well as just crossing the ball. A few changes in the defence, and it's important that, again, although Rangers are favourites tonight, they'll need to be switched on, because we saw against Dundee, Rangers not only conceded the first goal, but they made quite a few changes to the backline that day, Chris, and they weren't watertight in the first half, I think, to put it diplomatically.
I think Yilmaz's first start since Tynecastle, according to the ever-reliable soccer base. Again, he was one who I didn't have in my side. I went for Barisic. As you say, George, I think it's Barisic's jersey right now. It's that left back spot is his. He's more consistent. He's a more accomplished player in there. But again, as you outline, it might well be a night for the likes of Yilmaz to come in. It's probably a night where they're going to have to try and pass through St Johnstone rather than whip balls into the box. So I think there's certainly there's probably a kind of game time and a game management factor in that. Not looking to tire players out, not looking to overload them too much. But I think there's also tactical reasons behind the likes of Dill coming in, and certainly the likes of Yilmaz coming in as well.
The bench, Chris, McCrory, Dessers, Cantwell, Matondo, Sterling, Wright, Balogun, Barisic and King. So a good few options in there to change if Rangers need to. Other thing that stands out, I guess, is Lammers obviously coming back in for Cantwell. Clement has been keen to point out, he's been keen to suggest or highlight Lammers' performance in Seville last week. Maybe not the most eye-catching, but still clearly is trying to get the best out of that player and build confidence in him. This is the type of game where I think in bigger games, I'm thinking of Hearts in the Scottish League Cup semi-final, maybe Betis away as well. You can see why Lammers plays, I think, at points, because he can win the ball back and he can press well, and maybe not glamorous things, but maybe the type of attributes that show why a coach picks a player. This is the type of game tonight, though, where you need that number 10 to really get on the ball and make things happen. And that's why Cantwell coming back into the side alongside McCausland as not only, I think, helped Seamus score in form and allowed him to play closer to the number 9, but I think it's helped Rangers build up solutions through the pitch, because at times they are quite direct at the moment, not got time on the training pitch, not really got any midfielders whatsoever. And what Cantwell's helped with is dropping to take the ball in lots of different avenues of the pitch and getting on it and trying to make things happen. Lammers needs to take that responsibility tonight, doesn't he? And he does. We've spoken about him plenty of times before. My opinion on him is he's a player who does have technical quality, but you can see, and a lot of money's been spent on him in his career, but you can see that he's playing without any resemblance of confidence, and he hasn't done it consistently, I think, to really warrant that confidence from the crowd. I think that's just how it works at a place like Rangers. You really need to show, but you'll always get backing, but you really need to show why you should be backed. So it's important today, Chris, that he does take that responsibility, because that number 10 position has been important for Rangers so far. It's definitely Cantwell's spot at the moment. Big opportunity again for Lammers tonight to try and stake his claim over a busy festive period.
It definitely is. I don't think it would stake a claim for starting the Old Firm game, for example. But again, like Kieran Dell, probably like Ridvan as well, if he can play well tonight, I don't think it gets him a start at Fir Park. It's a very different game. Maybe gets him a start here against Ross County. Maybe gets him a start against Kilmarnock. And for all these players who are then heading into that fortnight break, you've got a chance to actually recoup. You've got a chance to reflect on your first 6 months of your Rangers career. A chance to try and impress the manager during that time as well. So again, we've spoken a lot about the likes of Lammers, spoken a lot about the likes of Dessers, and they've not lived up to expectations. They've not fulfilled the fee, they've not fulfilled the hype, they've not fulfilled the expectations so far, but they have still played their part in a side who can potentially go 2 points behind Celtic at the top of the league. who have qualified for the last 16 in Europe, and who also have the first bit of silverware in the trophy. Now, they've not played a huge role in that. Obviously, other players have been more influential, but they can, in a couple of weeks' time, they can sit back and reflect on that first 6 months and say, look, there has to be more to come. There has to be more in the likes of Lammers than what we've seen so far. For Rangers to sanction that deal, for, as you say, for him to have the fees that have been spent on him, for him to have the moves that he's made in his career, there has to be something in him. But Rangers fans just haven't seen it. A good performance tonight, it's not going to suddenly flick the switch in terms of confidence for him, because he also scored, we mentioned the D game earlier on, he scored that great goal up at Dens Park and hasn't really kicked on, hasn't really shown anything since. I don't think it's going to be the one moment to say, yes, this is going to kickstart his career. But this run of games, he's going to be required, because Cantwell can't play every minute of every game. The manager has made that clear over the last couple of weeks. He's going to need the squad, especially when in certain areas it's as threadbare as it is. So people might be unhappy at seeing Lammers name on the team sheet tonight. I don't think it's a massive surprise. I wouldn't have had them in the team. I would have given Cantwell another shot. But again, you can understand why the manager has made that particular decision. So fingers crossed he's one of them who could repay the faith from Clermont tonight. And the same goes for Kamal Roof through the middle.
Yeah, you're probably looking at Cantwell definitely starting away at Borough Park on the 24th. That's a game, away game's probably always more perilous than a home game. Motherwell aren't in great form at the moment. Rangers have a really good record there, but again, the options are just so threadbare still at the moment. So in terms of attacking players who are going to make stuff happen in the final third, Seema just seems to be able to play every minute of every game forevermore. But you're probably looking at Cantwell coming in to obviously play the Old Firm game on the 30th, and obviously play on the 24th. Maybe there'll be some rotation on the 27th as well. But this is, I guess, the last real chance to rotate before then those 3 games in quick succession, and then the game at home on the 2nd as well. Chris, as we wind to a close, we'll get to some comments before we do that. Kemar Roof through the middle again. Saw his quality last week. He's been building up minutes. I don't think anyone thinks he's going to start games for Rangers between now and the end of the season that repeatedly, but if he can play his part, if he can do 60 minutes tonight, I don't see him playing the full 90. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. And I think Philippe Clement said yesterday that he wouldn't. Everyone knows his quality. It's just a continual case of, can he stay fit for an extended period of time? Because, again, you look ahead to Parkhead in just over a week's time. You'll need him for that last 30 minutes probably. You look to the games coming up over the next number of weeks. I know Dessers in the last couple of weeks and the last few games has shown a few more touches of quality, but there's still moments in games where I think he's still frustrating at some points, not quite able to hold the ball up as would be desired. So important that Roof continues not only the good form we've seen so far, but just that he stays fit and is able to be an option over the next couple of weeks.
It really has to be an option, because options are limited in that position for Rangers. I think it highlights the need, not just for one centre forward to come in during the transfer window, but I would like to see a second one come in. I think Rangers do need to make 2 moves in that position over the course of the window, considering the time frame that we're looking at with Danilo. So Rangers do need goals. They can't keep relying on like Tavernier to pop up and save them. Roof, we know, can score goals. We've seen Kamar's quality over a period of time. We know what he can bring. It's just whether he can do it often enough. Can you rely on him to put together the number of games required to play a key part for this Rangers side? Because we know that he has undoubted quality. The manager was actually asked about him pre-match yesterday. Is he fit to start? And the answer was yes, but he's not fit for 90 minutes. So he will be able to get through some of tonight. You won't see him still on the pitch when the extra time board goes up. I'd be surprised. So I think you're probably looking at Roof giving you an hour, and you then bring on Dessers. You then get to Sunday, and I think it'll be the reverse. You get 60, 70 minutes out of Dessers, and you then bring on Kamara off the bench. Hugely important that he stays fit, because if he's not, Rangers are also then down to the bare bones in terms of number 9. So hopefully if Kamara can deliver a goal, that'd be great. If he can get through the minutes and continually build up that match fitness, that'd be just as good.
Yeah, absolutely. Charleston says Lammers and Dowell to get both goals. I'm telling you. So revisit that later and see if that was correct. Stephen says excited to see Ridvan and Seema on that side. Stuart agreeing with a point we were saying earlier. Lammers needs to do something tangible that fans can say that's why he was signed. Keith is excited to see what Dowell can bring under Clement. Mark highlighting the importance of an early goal in these types of games. And finally, Ian saying tonight is about showing that it's about Rangers showing that they can be consistent. And I guess just to finish on that, Chris, last week there was always a fear after a big win in a European game, and given Rangers Cup record, that Sunday could have just been set up to have a sting in the tail. And Rangers got through that, and Clement highlighted that yesterday when he was asked about mentality and focus and all these kind of generalised questions that get thrown up in football all the time. But they can't slip up at the moment. They need to keep the momentum going. The chance to get that gap down to 2 points, if you'd said that a couple of months ago, that would have people would have bitten your hand off for that, not least with an extra game still in hand. Important for Rangers to just get the points tonight, and hopefully the rotation that is in the squad gives a certain degree of freshness after what I'm sure was a long day and a long night on Sunday.
The manager's spoken about confirmation in the last couple of games, or in the last couple of days. That was the theme of his post-match press conference at Hampden, and then spoke to a couple of the press guys after his media conference as well. And again, that was a theme of it. He speaks about elite athletes being able to go and succeed, but then go again and then go again. That's what Rangers have managed to do over last week. Great result last Thursday over in Seville. They followed it up at Hampden. They now have to follow it up again tonight. And if that then happened, the focus then, of course, switches to Fir Park. It's then about can you go and confirm once again at Fir Park. Rangers just have to take care of these games. They have to keep the momentum, keep this feel-good factor going heading into the Old Firm game. And if we're still kind of on that bounce and still on that upward curve after Parkhead, the second half of the season then opens up for Rangers in terms of what they can do in the transfer market, what they can do during the January break, and then heading into domestic and European endeavours after the break. So there's plenty to look forward to potentially for Rangers, but there will only be a lot to look forward to if they can keep doing the business.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Right, Chris and I will be back later on. Stay up to date with the game on our social channels as well. We'll have full match reaction coverage tomorrow, all the usual stuff. Please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Really helps us to continue to do these videos. And if you've not subscribed to the Rangers Review website, never a better time to do it. As ever, relevant links are all in the description. Until then, enjoy the game wherever you're watching it, and we'll speak